So today we're going to talk about what is the popping sound we hear when we get adjusted. Welcome, and my name is Grayson. I'm one of the chiropractors here at the Chiropractic Centre. So today what we're going to be talking about is that popping sound. What is it that you hear when you're listening to those YouTube videos or maybe on Facebook? So the popping and clicking sound you hear, it doesn't sound that loud. Sorry, it's not that loud. If you look closely, what you'll find is a lot of the YouTubers out there, they've got those little mics, Rode mics, and they put them next to it. And if you look closely, you'll see that popping sound. Sensationalism. It makes us more aware. Click. It's not that loud. I'm sorry. But let's talk about it. What actually is happening? So here we have a model out of the spine. The spine has a series of bones coming all the way down. And this is just a section. This is taken actually out of the low back. We can see that we have the discs, and then we have the bones coming here. This is called a transverse process. The spinous process. This is the knobbly bit that we feel down our back. So we feel those bumps in the back. That's what this is. Next, we have the disc through here. And, of course, we have the bone itself. Now, where the disc is, a nerve comes out of that level. It's called a spinal nerve. It's a mixed nerve. It has sensation motor. But anyway, this nerve in short comes off the spinal cord out through the hole at the level of the disc. If you have a disc bulge, that can press back and cause irritation of the nerve, which then can lead to pain in the area. It can also go down the leg, maybe causing sciatica if it's in the leg. If it's in the neck, it can go down into the hands. Typically, if we had pain going below our elbow, or below our knee, they tend to be more disc kind of related injuries. Not necessarily, there could be something else, but there's a higher probability there. Look at this model, theoretically, as in chiropractic technique, Patterson and Bergman, they created in their book an explanation of what's actually occurring here. So what we have is we've had this first joint plate, which is right here. So if we take any joint, let's take our elbow. At the start of the joint, before you even move it, or just as you're moving it, there's a little bit of joint play. So we took the finger, we could move the joint either side. So if you just kind of wiggle this is best done with somebody doing this for you. And there's a little bit of play there at the start. Then as you go through the movement pattern, okay, you are using your muscles. So your muscles are moving through most of this movement. So this is the space here. Next, when we get to the end of that movement, we have what we call the physical barrier. So it gets to an end and it doesn't go any further. But you'll notice that you can get somebody or the doctor to then push it a bit further, which you can't do, but somebody else can. We call this, when we're hitting that point, that's the physical barrier. And then we come along and that end point where we can't go any further is called the elastic barrier. And as you come up to the elastic barrier, just before you get to the final end point, we have this EPZ, which is the elastic physical zone. And what that is just that point of slowing down until you hit that final barrier. Now, here's the key. Beyond that barrier, so we go right to the end and go right to that barrier. When we impulse past it, if we're using our hands, we can use an activator, but especially when we use the hands, you might get a click. And what's happening is you're going into this area here. And this area, past the elastic barrier, is called the, wait for it, paraphysiological space. But what is the popping sound? So when we pull the joints apart, our closest understanding is that between the joint surfaces here and here, okay, there's a capsule that wraps around that. And as you pull them apart, a little bit of that synovial fluid, which is the liquid that lubricates these facet joints, changes into a gaseous state. And effectively what that does is you pull it apart, that little bit of gas becomes that pop. Now, research shows there's no correlation between somebody clicking or not clicking for them getting better. They both get statistically the same difference. Now, does that stop us from wanting to hear the pop sound? Yes, some people really want to hear it. And others, interesting enough, don't want to hear it at all. They don't like that sound. So there are many different techniques that chiropractors can use. They can use the hands, and it's the most common one that we do use, hence the word chiro, which comes from Latin for hand, and practic, the practice with your hands. We also have another device called an activator. I can show you that. And this is a little clicking mechanical device, and it just can be gently used to move that joint like so. So there's many different techniques chiropractors use. But getting back to the popping sound, that's what that popping is. Now, if we explain it on a chart, and this is where that clicking is taking place. This is where we're having this, the liquid's changing into a gas in this zone, just a small amount. This will then literally dissolve back into the joint after about 19.5 minutes. And then you could do it again. But it's not the click that's actually creating the change. It's the rapid impulse and the movement that causes stimulation and into that area. And that's what we're focusing on as chiropractors. Now, why is it important to see a professional if you're having this done rather than your neighbor or your best mate coming in and crunching you and clicking you behind? Can you get relief from that? You could. Would I advise it? Definitely not. You want a professional to be looking at you, because what happens is beyond this clicking point, there is an area, and this is called the anatomical limit. And at the anatomical limit, past this point, trauma can create a rupture of tendons and problems, damage. Also pathological damage. If somebody has increased elasticity in their tissues, they're more likely to go into that, and with force and trauma, again, they may damage and rupture themselves. So advising somebody to go and click you, you're not going to get that advice from us. But there you go. A little bit more of an explanation of what that clicking and popping sound is. And also, just be aware, if you do have any concerns, please don't hesitate to give us a call. We're here. The telephone number is somewhere on this link, maybe below. Have a great day. Thank you.